There was a time when I let everyone walk all over me. I'd absorb every opinion, every insult, and carry it until it crushed me. I wasted time, avoided hard things, and told myself I'd do it later. That version of me is dead. This episode is about how I flipped the switch, how faith, how mindset, and hard lessons taught me to stop giving power to other people and to start taking ownership of my time, my energy, and my purpose. No more pity parties, no more procrastination, and just progress. If you're ready to stop wasting time and start building your life, this one's for you. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications if you're done making excuses and ready to move forward. Remember, create more than you consume. I'm Charlie, and this is Create Over Consume. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about old mindsets for starters. The version of you who let people walk all over you. As I said in last episode, when I was a kid in my formative years, I came back to school and everybody's all paired off in social cliques and stuff, and I did let people walk all over me. When they came after me and asked me questions, I would say, I don't know, because I didn't want conflict. Conflict was something I avoided at all costs. And so anything that came at me, I was too scared to have an opinion and let people walk all over me. Later on in my life, I'd form my own opinions, my own way. I think I can clearly say that it was maybe about 2010 when I first started to really form my own opinions. Even before that, I was in a relationship where my ex-wife basically walked all over me. She controlled the bills. She controlled where we went on vacation, what we did, that kind of thing. I took over my own money finally. I took over what I was going to do with my time. I'd go out on photo shoots with people I believed in, and I'd photograph them and whatever. And I took over my life. I didn't let her walk all over me anymore. That grew until 2019 when we finally divorced. And yeah, it was a long time coming, but we don't let people walk all over us is what I'm talking about. There's certain things when we're talking about our core beliefs in another episode before this. Go back and watch that episode if you haven't already. There's certain times your core beliefs do not align with what challenges you in life or what's presented to you in life. The cards just don't line up or add up. And that's when the negativity and opinions affect you. I would constantly say, hey, I'd like to go ahead and save up, buy a new guitar, save up, buy a camera, something like that. And it didn't matter if I worked odd and end jobs. Basically, it was always no. And so that's a form of control, and it was a form of negativity and opinions that affected me. I was a grown man. I was working a tech support job. I made a good bulk of money, and so she just wanted control, and it affected me big time. Now, the cost of procrastination, we could use that 10-year example on this, not to rip on getting divorced or exes or whatever and stuff like that, to be honest, but that's time that I'll never get back. I was scared because I thought people were going to judge me for getting divorced. I thought people were going to judge me for having an opinion about what she was doing because everybody saw her as the smart one, always paying the bills, making savings. I agree that you got to do that stuff, but you got to be able to live your life a little bit too. You got to have a balance. She was like the hardcore save and pay bills kind of person, and I was on the opposite end of the spectrum at the time where I was just like, hey, let's go buy that new guitar. It costs $1,000, but who cares? And neither one of us had balance. There was extremes. But that's time that you never get back is the cost of procrastinating and not realizing what serves you in life. Now, that leads us to transformation, the turning point. There was a specific moment I remember in New York. I decided enough. She had given me an ultimatum that if I couldn't pay my half of the bills because I was doing a teaching job, teaching photography. I was working odd and end jobs doing photo shoots and things like that. If I couldn't pay my half the bills, that I'd have to leave the apartment. Well, things had brewed and mustered and things like that under the time, and I decided enough was enough. She tried to threaten me, say I'd have to go live with my mother. Grown ass man living with his mother. Some of you laugh at that. Some of you think that's the worst thing ever. Some of you think, oh, hey, that ain't too bad living with family. For me, I thought to myself, my mom's always supported me. I wasn't happy in that relationship. I wasn't able to keep up with New York rent on what I wanted to do. So I said, enough is enough. I drew my line in the sand. I used my last $1,000 to pack a U-Haul van, all my possessions I could. I drove straight 12 hours across country, ended up in the dead of winter pulling into Michigan. My folks were kind enough at 11 o'clock at night to unpack that U-Haul van with me into one room of the house, and that's how I reset. That's when I decided enough's enough. It took a while for me to kind of come to grips with everything that happened, and her and I decided enough was enough, and we divorced, of course. But I come about to faith and prayer through tough seasons. I tried to do everything that was a distraction first, of course, because I went back to smoking weed, I went back to drinking heavily, I went back to staying up all night thinking I was accomplishing art and stuff like that, instead of getting sleep and things to take care of myself. But, long story short, God had a plan for me. When I met my second wife, she slid into my DMs, as I said in another episode, and she started talking to me about my work, my creations. My ex-wife didn't believe in my creations. She simply wanted me to get a job, some soul-sucking job, didn't matter what it was, pay the bills, pay my half. Well, my now wife slid into my DMs, and we started talking, and she asked me one day, what do you think about God? I hadn't talked to God in a very long time, to be honest. I lived on my own way, my own terms. I didn't think much about it because I thought, oh, I can go be creative and do what I want. But you need balance, you need structure, and you need God to pull you through tough seasons. Can't do it alone. So when I met my now wife, my second wife, she talked about God, and when we finally got to the point of me coming down here to Columbia to go ahead and meet her, I tattooed a cross on my right hand. I reconnected and reaffirmed my belief in God. And then once I actually moved down here after we figured out things were working and stuff, I further connected with God because God's led me on this path to build businesses. I never built my own business for real before. I was a photographer and I was able to make ends meet for myself when I wasn't in New York and the soul-sucking money capital of the world. I mean, I can't rip on New York completely. It's just an expensive place, but when I come down here, I really rebuilt myself after I listened to myself in the woods for a couple of years in Michigan. And those were tough seasons. I had to listen to myself, and I'm still growing. Even after 4 years of living in Columbia, I'm still growing, but I've become one of these mountains. I'm resilient. I don't cry about shit that happens. I get up, I face it head on, I find solutions. I had to learn that mindset isn't necessarily motivation, it's maintenance. You gotta practice what you preach every single day. If you don't, and you get off the horse, if you don't pray, if you don't read your Bible, if you don't practice your mindset about your core beliefs and stuff, you forget stuff. And when you forget stuff, you go back to the same old patterns of poor me, and it don't get you anywhere, is what I'm going to tell you. So that leads us to the power showing up when you don't feel like it. There's many days I want to sleep in. There's many days I don't feel like doing something. But now I have a family. Now I have people that believe in me because I've come to that conclusion that these people have believed in me all along. My wife believes in me. My mom and dad believe in me. My brother believes in me. My nieces and nephews believe in me. I have friends that have believed in me all along that I didn't believe in myself. And so the power showing up is get up, dress up, show up, and learn to believe in yourself. It's a long, hard, fucked up road is what I'm going to tell you. But when you do this, you get up, you dress up, and you show up every single day. That's power showing up when you don't feel like it. You got to accept your responsibilities. You got to practice what you preach, so to speak, on there, you know? Now I'm going to talk about some practical tools as well. How you check yourself when you start slipping into old habits. Well, it's easy for me to sit here and to browse social media. I wake up in the morning. I sit here with my good old coffee cup, says coffee makes everything possible. And I give myself until I finish this cup of coffee to look at social media. After that, got to turn it off, got to start the day, got to do the thing. Otherwise, I'd sit here and I'd look at socials all day, I'd play guitar all day, I'd look out the window at the clouds all day, and it wouldn't get a damn thing done. So you got to remember to set boundaries for yourself. Stick to your guns. It's hard, but once you can find what does it for you, me, it's providing for my family. It's also furthering the future stability for my personal goals after that is covered. So you got to set goals for yourself. You got to stay on the horse and play the long game, as I've talked about in other episodes as well. You build systems or routines that keep you disciplined. Morning rhythm, task lists, prayer time. Carve this stuff out for yourself. Realize that the noise of the world does not matter. It doesn't matter about that story your friend's going to tell you about getting drunk till 3 a.m. the other night and did stupid things and whatever. It doesn't matter what's on the television or on the Netflix or on the radio, whatever. It doesn't matter what your neighbor's going on about. What matters is that you can move yourself forward. That's why finishing some small tasks compounds into big wins later. Me, I'm going on my third year of being in business for myself for real. That consistency has brought me to a point where I can support my family. I'm also working on getting everything done to move us from Columbia back to Michigan to have my family be united again as well. And so you got to finish the small things. There's 1,000,001 small things, but it all makes a bigger picture that we call a big win much later. You got to know that. You got to stay on the horse. You got to see it through. Now, I'm going to talk about a spiritual angle and wrap as well today. So I'm going to talk about how trusting God and staying focused aligns business and life. This week, actually last week technically to be honest, I ordered myself a Bible again. It's going to be my birthday coming up this next week. I gave myself a gift of a Bible to reconnect with God even further. I've been reading Psalms, and I've been reading about how God is great. And it consoles me, it comforts me, knowing that there's a greater power out there that's created the universe, that's created all the things that humanity knows and much more. It makes all the trivial things that you think about, that people go on about, whether it be on social media or in life or whatever and stuff, it makes it so small. And for that, you realize what really truly matters. There's a joke one time, I think it was my dad that told me, he said there's a professor that going into a college class and he took a jar, set it on the table, he put a bunch of golf balls in there and he turns to the class and he says, "Hey, is the jar full?" Everybody says, "Oh yeah, it's full of golf balls." Well then he takes out a box of pebbles, he pours it in there and it goes in all the cracks between the golf balls and he says, "Hey, now is the jar full?" Everybody looks at it and like, wow, there's more space in there, all that kind of thing. They agree the jar is full. Then he takes out a box of sand and he pours it between all the golf balls, the pebbles, etc. And he basically says to them, "Hey, is it full?" People come up real close, they get looking at it and they're like, wow, yeah, it's really full now. We're sure it's full. Then he pulls out a can of beer and he pours it into the jar. It absorbs into the sand and the pebbles and everything completely. And then he goes, "Well, hey now, is the jar full?" And they're just stunned that he could fit anything more into that jar. And then they're like, "Yeah, it's certainly full now. There's not any more space for anything in there." And they're like, "What's the point?" He says, "The golf balls are the big things in life. Things that matter like your family, your health, and your goals and your dreams and things like that. Your pebbles are your friends and outside things that are nice to have and things like that. And then the sand is everything else that just doesn't matter much." And then there's one kid that raises his hand in this class and he says, "Hey, professor, I get all that, but what's the beer for?" And the professor just laughs and smiles and he says, "That just goes to show you. Don't forget there's always time to just sit back and have a cold one." My dad told me that joke, and I don't drink anymore, of course, but like I just laughed and laughed and laughed. I says, that's the thing is everybody gets so tied up in life. You don't realize that pain's temporary and purpose is permanent. So you got to remember, sit back and relax sometimes. Don't let life kind of take you over and stuff like that because you take yourself so serious, that's going to eat you alive too. So stop waiting around. Start creating for yourself as well. I'm going to tell you today, if you're done letting other people's noise or your own excuses control you, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, start building a stronger mindset with me. Hit that like button if you ever caught yourself wasting time and decided to take your power back. And of course, turn on the bell if you want a weekly reminder to stay disciplined, faithful, and in motion. My name's Charlie. This is Create Over Consume. I'll see you on the next one.